Hello and welcome to The Luckiest T-Shirt. I'm Dan. I'm going to be with you for the next little bit. Today I got quite a few things to talk about. Fucking phone, shut the fuck up. This thing keeps going off like crazy. Okay, so over the last week I've had a chance to play a couple different formats. I went to Standard at F&M. That was kind of interesting. Oh, by the way, this is my first attempt at recording a video. Hopefully I'm visually interesting enough for you. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we got packs, we got formats, we got issues, and let's dive right into them. So first thing, good old Fate Reforged booster. Tasty treat for everybody. Let's see what's in here. There you go. My secrets are revealed. All right. So, I forgot to roll my dice. 18, we'll say that's a reroll. Reroll, that was 19. 3, third card in the pack. And of course, we'll always do the rare. So, third card in the pack today is a Reach of Shadows. This is instant for 4 and a black. Destroy target creature that's 1 or more colors. Got some pretty sweet art there. It looks like a dude being attacked by a bunch of by a manifest. It looks like, and his soul is being, or his shadows are going into his face, I guess. Anyway, flavor text on here says, "It is better to be a fool. Is it better to be a fool or a coward? Fools may get things done occasionally, but cowards live longer." Good question. That's by Gelesh Shadowmane, a Rakshasa mage. So maybe we'll see Gelesh Shadowmane in the next set. Who knows? So there it is, Reach of Shadows. Let's see what our rare is today. Let's hope it's colorless. That would be wicked. And it is a Jeskai Infiltrator. This guy's a lot of fun. So he has no flavor text, but he has a really cool ability. So, Jeskai Infiltrator can't be blocked if you control no other creatures. When he deals combat damage to a player, exile it and the top card of your library in a pile face down, then manifest those cards. He's a 2/3 for a blue and 2, so he's a 2/3 for 3 human monk, and when he hits you, you put him face down, the top card of your library face down, mix them up, and those become 2/2 manifest creatures. So, what is the advantage of this? Well, the advantage is you never know if he's going to be hitting. If you decide to kill one of them, you never know if you're going to hit him or the other one. And maybe you manifest something bigger. It could be fun. Could be lots of fun. But, I mean, the issue is he can be the only one on the battlefield to make sure he gets through. So that's a little tricky. All right, let's get into today's topics. First thing I want to talk about is the formats that I played this past week. So I played my usual EDH League. It was a bit of a rough night. Recorded the last podcast after that, so a few of those things were in there. Yeah, it was a rough one. The dicks at the table took over, and it was a little disappointing to play 2 rounds against such assholes. Here was the first dick move that I didn't tell you about on the last podcast, and that was okay. So Buddy was playing Niv Mizzet, and he was countering every spell, or lots of spells at the table, but the buddy beside him. I use the word buddy. It's a word I use, okay? Buddy. So guy beside him put out the conspiracy enchantment that says on your upkeep you can choose left or right, and that's what direction players can only attack, right? So I could only attack the guy to my left, and he wanted it this way. I was playing Xenagos, so I was playing the deck that wanted to attack. I could only attack the guy to my left, and that was the guy who was playing Propaganda, Ghostly Prison, and all the tax effects if you want to attack. And he was playing other things that he got benefits if he took combat damage. So I didn't want to attack him. So the whole goal of my game, to continue the game, was for me to get rid of that fucking enchantment that says I could only attack to my left. I tried to blow it up 3 times, and all 3 times Niv Mizzet countered it. The spells that I was using to blow it up all cost quite a bit of money. Or mana, I guess money. Blech. The spells didn't cost all that much to buy the cards. So anyway, I tried to use Bane of Progress. Seems like a good one with Xenagos. Got countered. I tried to use Wave of Vitriol. It's like a 7 mana. You sack all your basic lands and replace them with sack all your non-basics and replace them with basic lands, and it destroys all artifacts and enchantments. I tried to use, there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was another like 5 or 6 mana spell. Might have been Acidic Slime or something like that. Trying to get rid of this fucking thing, and Niv Mizzet countered it every time. So we're getting pretty late into the game. You know, we're about 40, 45 minutes into the game, and we had another player at the table who was playing Grenzo. It was a 5-man pod, so things were taking a long fucking time. And Grenzo cast, I forget the name of the spell, but he gets to look through a deck, an opponent's deck, and exile three cards. It's pretty good spell for taking out, you know, combo pieces and things like that. And he decided, because this guy was countering everything at the table, he was gonna rip apart the Niv Mizzet deck. And in response, the Niv Mizzet player scooped. He took his ball and fucking went home. Now, that wouldn't piss me off so much, except for the fact that he just spent the entire goddamn game shutting down my plan, or anybody else's plan really, to break the game open and deal with a couple problems on the battlefield. He kept stopping everything, which is fine. You can stop a few things, but don't fucking scoop when someone goes to rip shit out of your library, you fucking dingleberry. God damn it, that pissed me off. So I'm going to shut down your shit, and then I'm going to leave. I'm going to make sure you can't win, then I'm going to go, okay? And you can deal with the rest of this shit. Fucking asshole. Finish the fucking game or don't fucking play. It's simple. It's really simple. Play the game or don't. But if you're going to quit halfway through, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here, you dick. Anyway, it's a week later. I'm okay now. I'm a little better now. This is weird. I'm for those of you just listening, I'm trying to play a bit to the camera. It's a little weird. I'm getting used to it. I'm trying to expand here. Expansion is my next topic. What I've done is, you may have heard of this before, you maybe not. It's called Patreon. It's Patreon. And what it is it's a way to crowdsource, fundraise a little bit, and I've been doing this podcast out of my pocket for since October, and it's been a blast. I've had a great time doing it. I'm glad for all the listeners that I've picked up from Rancho Cucamonga to New Brunswick to Australia to I've got a couple listeners in Europe. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And the podcast will always be free, but if you want to help out and have, make it so that I get closer to breaking even on this thing, you can go to patreon.com, and I've got a few things set up there. So you can donate as little as $1 a month or however much you want. And I've got it set up as like a monthly subscription. My goal, I'm not going to get rich off this thing. I've got a few listeners out there, but if you want to chip in for $1 to $2 a month, or even more, my goal is to hit $20 a month, and that pretty much covers the cost of hosting the website, or hosting the podcast on Buzzsprout, which is my hosting site. So if you want to help me out, you can certainly check that out. There's some rewards for $7 a month. I'll give you a shout out on the podcast, and I'll send you a card. I'll handpick a card for you. You can send me a message on the Facebook group, the Luckiest T-Shirt Facebook group, and tell me what commander you're running. I'll pick out a card for you, and we'll go from there. And I'm not gonna send you mythic rare bombs, though maybe once in a while. Could happen. But I'll pick out a fun card for you, send it along, and you'll have the knowledge you'll know that you're helping me out, you're helping your entertainer out. And if you like the podcast, I recommend you do it. You don't have to. This shit's free. And I'll stop wasting your time talking about it. I'll probably do reminders at the start of all the episodes, whatever. Next thing I want to talk about is I played F&M. I played Standard again. And I brought down the two best friends that anybody could ever have, Butcher of the Horde and Siege Rhino. And I had those in a deck together. And I didn't lose a match. That is to say, I lost 2 matches, but I won a match, which means I didn't lose one match. There was one match that I didn't lose, get it? And I had an okay time. I'm still wrestling with my relationship with Standard. There's so much fucking around you got to do with it. You got to really think about what decks you're going to play against. Obviously, Sultai control is a big thing right now, and there's blue-white heroic, there's red-white heroic, there's black-white warriors. I think there's any deck with Siege Rhino in it. Abzan's a big thing. There are a couple combo decks in Standard, and I don't know for myself how much it's worth it for me on how much fun is this level for me to play Standard, because the deck I brought down wasn't very good. It had a bit of burn, had those 2 creatures, had some token makers, and I'm sure I can make the deck better. I'm sure I could if I wanted to put a bit of money into it and put a little bit more time and energy into it. But where most of the guys I play Magic with, they're EDH players. We play kitchen table, bring your brick, let's see what happens. I don't know if playing Standard is going to be something that I really want to get into. And when I sat down for these games, I was more stressed than relaxed. And I use Magic as my hobby to relax, and I use this as a hobby, this podcasting thing. But I just don't know. I don't know if that's something that I want to put that much energy into. And I'm fighting with myself because the tournaments that you go to, 70% of them are Standard tournaments. I'm not always going to have a limited tournament to get into. There's virtually no competitive EDH. Like, our league is competitive, but it's not, it's supposed to be casual. You're never going to make it to the Pro Tour playing Commander exclusively, right? You can make it playing Limited, but if you want to really increase your chances, you have to play Standard. And it's like I'd be going into it knowing that I have to put so much work into it. And while getting to the Pro Tour would definitely be worth the work, that would be awesome. But I don't find the games to be all that much fun. And in this format, it's very... You have your scale, and if one side of the scale gets a bit of the weight, then it tips a bit, and you put just one more little thing, and bang! One person's way ahead, the other person's way behind, and there's very little coming back from being behind in this format, I find. And there's so many big bombs and so many big swingy plays that once you're behind a little bit, it's so hard to come back from. Like in End Hostilities... So let's say we go, through turn 3, there's a couple of creatures on board. Turn 4 is a Siege Rhino, and I start my turn 5, cast End Hostilities. Okay, I dealt with all that. Then I pass back the turn. He just plays another Siege Rhino. And not only have I lost 6 life, and he's gained 6, but now he's got a 4/5 Trampler coming at me. And it's not just Siege Rhino, but that's the other, if I'm playing against a Jeskai Ascendancy combo deck or a Temur Ascendancy combo deck, once so much toughness is on the battlefield, even if you wipe it away, there are enough ways in this format to reload and just keep the pressure on. So once you get to a certain point, you don't have to add anything else to the table, you just keep that pressure on, and if there's an answer for all that, then your hand's stopped because you've spent the last couple turns holding shit back. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of standard. I'll put it that way. So, and that could just be this format. It could just be the mood I'm in lately. But I'm not finding it satisfying like I do EDH. So then Sunday, I wanted to get in on a draft, so I went down for my LGS's Sunday draft, and they were having an invitational tournament, so no draft that day. So I was pretty disappointed because it's rare that I get Sunday off to just go draft. But next Sunday, it looks like I'm okay to do it, even though it's the day after Valentine's Day. And since me and my wife, we both work Valentine's Day. Anyway, I'm gonna squeeze it in. So after leaving my LGS, I came home, and I've had a pretty hard hate on for Magic Online for quite a while now. The computer I have Magic Online on isn't very good. It crashes a lot. It's not very consistent. And I mean, that's also the program too. We all know the program, the client for MTGO is fucking terrible and has just tons of bugs. But I said, okay, I know I had a few tickets left. I'll go on there, I'll see how many tickets I have, and I'll jump into a draft. I just really want to draft. So that's what I did. I set the computer up, and I got nice and comfortable and waited the fucking 20 minutes for the fucking thing to turn on. Got her set up, open the program, download the update. That takes another 20 minutes. So now I'm like an hour invested into this. The client starts up. I jump into the draft, and I go to click on my first pick, which would have been Tasigur, and the fucking computer just goes haywire. The screen starts blinking, flashing between the draft viewer and the just like the play lobby, and they just keep blinking back and forth. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So it does that for pretty much exactly the 55 seconds that you get to make your first pick. So I didn't get clicked on it, so it picked a fucking random card for me. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Like, I had a huge bomb in Tasigur right there, and I've never tried it in Limited. I haven't been able to draft Fate Reforged yet. I didn't pull it in any of my sealed pools, so I haven't gotten to play this card yet, and it's right fucking there, and I still don't get to play it. Okay, whatever. The computer finally fucking calms down on the third pick, so I get to make the third pick. The first two that it picked for me were Sultai Emissary, the 1/1 that when he dies, you manifest the top card of your library, and I think it might have been Ruthless Ripper, which is good. I was completely happy with getting the Ruthless Ripper, but first pick Sultai Emissary over a fucking Tasigur, not the best. So I continue playing, I make my picks, I'm like, okay, end up in this like black-white, aggro-ish, like black-white bears kind of deck with Mardu Skull Hunter, a lot of 2/1s and 2/2s for 2, and I end up with a Timely Horde Mate. When he enters the battlefield, if you attacked, you get to bring back something CMC 2 or less to the battlefield. So it's like, okay, well that's a decent engine. You know, I use my Emissary, manifest a card, maybe I get to flip that up. Then the Emissary's dead, so I attack with something, cast the Timely Hormate, get the Emissary back, block with something, get another 2/2. Like, there were engines in the deck. It felt like a lot of fun. And I actually won my first round, which was amazing. But I jumped into an 8-4, so I had to win 2 rounds to make any packs back. And of course, second round, first game Flood, second game Screw, game over, right? Because that's how Magic Online works. You get to play until it decides you get flooded, then you get screwed, then you don't get to play anymore. And that's what I hate about Magic Online. There's no, like, yes, it happens in real life. I totally admit it does happen in real life. But the frequency with which it happens online seems ridiculous. I've had matches where my first 7 cards were land. My next 7 cards were my next 6 cards were spells. My next 5 cards were land. My next 4 cards were spells. I have never seen that in real life. I've never heard of it in real life. I've seen people go like a one-lander, a one-lander, a one-lander, keep. Or no land, 1 land, 2 land, keep, right? I've seen people go to 4 and 3. I've seen people mulligan really hard, but I've never seen 7 land, 6 spells, 5 land, 4 spells. I've never seen it. And I don't think that's reasonable. Now, bitching about the MTGO shuffler, that's a pretty common thing. People do it. Why? Because, they say it's random. They say the randomness of it is it's perfect randomness or whatever, like it's random. Like, but shuffling in real life isn't necessarily random. There are other factors, there are physical factors that go into how you shuffle, and it's people's shuffling patterns, it's people's, your opponent cutting the deck, it's all these things. It's not perfectly random in real life. So that's one of the reasons I hate on Magic the Gathering online, because it just feels artificial. The games don't feel natural. And not being face-to-face with someone so that, you can read those emotions that they have, you take something away from the game. And while I understand it's a good tool for practicing, practicing mulliganing and keeping those opening 7s and all that fun stuff and seeing interactions between cards and maybe even learning some of the rules of the game, it's super fucking expensive to play a digital version of a real life game. So I may go back to it one day, but probably not. I just get so frustrated with that thing. And at the same time, it's such a huge time commitment, right? Because you sit down for a draft. Well, if you want to get to the finals, you're committing like 4.5 hours of your life to sitting in front of the computer. And while I'm super comfortable with sitting down in a draft with 7 physical people sitting around me, we're doing something together. We're participating with each other. We're interacting. In between rounds, I can chat with my opponent from the last round, or I can chat with someone else who's done, or I can go get a fucking soda, or whatever. I can go for a smoke. I can do something, but I'm not locked in front of my computer like you are on Magic Online. And the last thing I want to touch on is something I did talk about last week with Josh and Hannah. And that's girls in Magic, ladies in Magic, the women of Magic the Gathering. I put up a post on Facebook, on a different Facebook group, and I just wanted to kind of get some reactions and get some opinions on what we can do as a predominantly male entity that plays this game to attract more women. And I will say the response with the most vitriol and the response with the most responses was the smell. Apparently we smell, and we need to stop smelling. So if you know a guy who knows a guy who really has an odor, just say, dude, before you come down, you got to shower. Or, dude, put on some deodorant, something. And it's not just for the guys around you, but it's for those people who come in the door, see the first impression, get that in their nose, and then leave. The reason we want to add people to the game is to grow it, to make sure that it's here for a long time, to, we want to make the people who make the cards, we want to make them a bit of money so that they keep doing it, right? If there's a movie franchise that you love, what do? You go see it in theaters, and then you go buy it on fucking Blu-ray, or you download it, or whatever you do, right? You support them. You give them money. So with Wizards, And not only that, but you tell other people about it. You tell other people to go see it. You say that movie was awesome. You should go fucking see it. Like when Boondock Saints was new, and I saw it on DVD for the first time. It's like, this movie's awesome, and everybody has to know about it. And seriously, if you haven't seen the Boondock Saints, the first one, second one, but the first one, awesome movie. Go see it. Go get it. See it. If you haven't heard of it, ask a friend. He probably has. Watch it. But that's what we do. We want to get more people involved in the things we love, and that guarantees that that it's going to stay around so we can keep doing it, right? And there's a huge part of the population, the ones with nice skin and they're really nice smelling, and usually, we like. Generally, ladies are a good thing. Having ladies around makes parties better. It makes work better. Having a mix. I'm not just saying ladies. Like, having guys around is good too. But having a mix of diverse people, it creates a nice environment. And we need to encourage that, I think. I think we do. There are people online who don't think we do. That magic is fine, and we don't need to bring in people. We shouldn't need to advertise to specific people. I'm not saying we need to advertise to specific people, but we do need to make the game welcoming for everybody, so that things like this can happen. And I'd like to read one of the responses to my post. Her name is Madeline, and she said, this is a quote from her. She said, "My boyfriend got me into it, the game of Magic. He said he was really interested in it, so I gave it a try to bond with him. I can honestly say Magic helped save my relationship, and now I've become attached to the game and have met some of the most wonderful men and women in this game. I play now because it challenges me intellectually and has developed lots of great skills that I use in everyday life. Magic has a lot of benefits if you're willing to spend the time and money. And if you truly believe that, then you really want to get more people into it." Sorry, that's the end of her quote. "If you really think that, then you'd want to get more people involved in the game, right?" And the other thing is, and this was mentioned a few times on the site, is don't be an asshole, essentially. Don't stare at people's tits. Don't stare at their asses. Don't try and rub up against them, especially, because that's actual physical sexual harassment. That's fucking rude. And I'm not saying my listeners do this, but this is things we should fucking pass on to other people. Let them know that's not cool. Like, we want these people around. And there are people out there that do this shit. Some of them are the fucking owners of the stores. Just saying. And then there was this other one. She puts it more on the stores. She says, I didn't ask her permission, so I won't say her name, but she said, there are things that you can do to your store. Well-lit playrooms, clean, bright colors on the walls. Stand in the middle of your game room and say, is there a way for you to get to the door or exit or to the bathroom without being close enough to get felt up? Yes, that really happens. As an owner, never justify a player's behavior when you get a complaint. A simple apology, and I don't want any player to feel the way you do, I will speak with them, will actually do it. And tell them it's not okay. While most women understand card art is out of your hands, do not carry and allow the ridiculous sleeves and mat art that is out there. Anyway, there is some ridiculous art that isn't necessarily, that Wizards of the Coast isn't putting out, that is could be considered offensive, and I don't think that's on the store owner to make sure it's not in the shop. I mean, they can choose to sell it or not, and that's fine. If a player comes in and he's got the heavy-chested woman on the back of his cards, I wouldn't say a store should be like, no, you can't use those sleeves. Like, you paid money for the sleeves, just let them use the fucking sleeves. But they don't have to promote it by selling that stuff. And for the most part, I don't see a whole lot of offensive stuff. But I'm not a woman, so I don't fucking know. But all I'm saying is make the place welcoming. I totally agree. Brightly lit, a little bit wider aisles and hallways, because girls think about this stuff when they're walking down the street or they go out. They think about, well, I'm not going there because it's too tightly spaced. I'm not gonna fucking rub up against these people. They think about that stuff. Guys mostly don't think about this stuff because we don't give a shit, right? And these are generalizations, but for the most part, it's like, okay, well, if I got to go over there, I'm going to walk over there. Whereas a girl says, I got to go over there, and there's, that little spot's bottlenecked, and there's a lot of people going in and out of there. I'm going to find a different way. And if your whole store is set up so that you have to bump and grind up against other people just to get through, just to get to the table that you're playing at, maybe I'm not going to fucking play there, and maybe I'm not interested in this game. Anyway, those are some of the concerns. Now, on the positive note, there are more girls getting into it. At our store, we have like Hannah, who was on the show last week. She's only a few months into playing. We've got a couple other ladies that play. We've got one that is always in the top 4 for achievements on our Commander League night. She runs a Goblin deck, and it's a very good deck, and she stomps face with it. Now, do I wish that she'd played the Goblin deck? No. Am I glad she's there? Yes. It's a variety. It's not always, same fucking 20 dudes. Get different people in, right? It's all in a matter of growing the game, and there are people who disagree with me out there, and I would say they're in the minority. Most players are totally comfortable with having more females come in. And some aren't. And maybe it's the guys who aren't that really aren't welcome. So anyway, that's all I got for you this week. We'll say this week. So check out Patreon. Have a look at it. So you go to www.patreon.com. That's patreon.com/theluckiest-t-shirt. Mine will come up there. Big picture of my face will come up there. I've also started a YouTube channel. So if you use YouTube instead of so much the iTunes podcasts, now you can put this on in the background. The sound quality will be a little bit different, but you'll get to see my happy face. Hello, how are you? And above all, it's a game. We want it to be an inclusive game. We want people to enjoy themselves, and I want you to have fun with it.